If you're just joining us, welcome. If you look, looks like we've got nearly 50 people online, and if you look through the participants list and you don't see someone there that needs to be there, send them a text, give them a call, have them join on. We're going to have some good information from Christion Sadler this morning, and those of you that have been around a while know that Christion is just he always has a wealth of information. He has an enthusiasm. He has the experience behind that enthusiasm that just makes it crackle. And we're excited to have him with us today. I know that Christion, you're on the road, but I trust that we're going to have a great talk this morning. How are you?
I am great, Ron, and appreciate you being here. Appreciate that introduction. So I'm actually not on the road currently, but I am in Richfield. So for those of you who may have been paying attention or watching what I've been up to, I traveled down to Arizona and had a radio interview there, and was able to be introduced to some amazing business contacts as well from the Arizona and the California marketplace. And it was a great opportunity, and I made the most of it. I actually turned it into a road trip. Some of you know my dog, Ninja. He's been having some tough times lately, so I wanted to make sure we took him on one last road trip. We stopped by Lake Powell on the way and really enjoyed it. Well, what we didn't expect necessarily was this weather. This weather has been, well, I guess I don't have to explain it because you guys have all been in it. No matter what state you're on here from, I think you've probably experienced some of the weather or heard about, what's going on there. And so traveling home last night, we just decided, it's not worth continuing down the road with the weather that we were hitting. And so we stopped back into to Richfield, and we're here in central Utah, just enjoying the morning. And I have the opportunity to speak with you guys. And really what was on my mind was this conversation of always being prepared to deliver your message at any time, and being able to gauge whether it's time to have a 1-minute conversation about each topic of our business, or whether it's time to have a 5 to 7 minute conversation about our business. In fact, you could even do a 10 to 15 minute conversation about our business, and that's what we do each and every Thursday night. So here's the interesting thing that I see is many people that get into this business, they come in and they're so eager to get into study group. They're so eager to focus on other things. They're so eager to just get into and get into their own little world and take what they can, and they forget that there's so much opportunity to give, which will actually provide much more as far as getting in the long run. And so I'm always looking at this as, if you're running this as a business, if you're really looking at this as something that can change people's lives, within your circle, then the first thing that I would do as a new IMA is I would show up and I would go to the 4 pillars, the 5 pillars, or your introduction, depending on where you're at, right? I would go to that as many times as I felt like would make it second nature to me. In fact, this is how I got thrown into, and this is how I had the opportunity to do a lot of my speaking. And, it started right here, with this education. And then that grew in the opportunity where people were bringing me on radio shows and podcasts and, and all kinds of things. And so, you want to be able to do it. And I mean, obviously, if I'm going to have the opportunity to speak on somebody's radio show or podcast, I'm going to talk about this business. I'm going to talk about what I'm so passionate about. And that is, Renatus and financial literacy and this education. And so, what I want to do is I want to give you guys the opportunity to come out here and see, just kind of test your skills a little bit. And I know we don't have a ton of time on here, but that's why, for me, if you've been in the presentation enough times, it should be second nature to you. And if it's not second nature to you yet, I would suggest maybe, just maybe, showing up on a Thursday or whenever you guys do your presentations in your market, and just instead of focusing on other things, focus on the way that the presenter delivers the information. Take it in, right? Conceptualize it. Think about how you would say that same thing. Think about the stories that you could implement into that conversation. And then, practice being able to deliver that. And so let me see, I'm on my phone here, and that might be the only tough part about this, but I'm going to see if I can share my whiteboard. All right. All right. For me, what I'm sharing, let's see here, is the 5 pillars. Right? So this is what I did when I was on the radio show. I have my speaking coach, and she's actually the one who hosts the radio show, and so she's the one who invited me out here to be a part of it. And she's been, traveling the last few weeks. I haven't really been able to connect with her and get prepared or even know what to expect from this interview. What I knew was that I knew my stuff, right? And that's what matters. If you know your stuff, then it's an easy conversation. And so what I reverted back to, because I wasn't delivering any of my own, compelling content that I had created, instead I just went to the 5 pillars, which basically I've been a part of that, right? I've had my input within this conversation and within this presentation, and me and Mitch Nelson and many other leaders have really formulated this and enhanced it and made it better. And so I went to the 5 pillars presentation. The reason I did 5 rather than the 4 pillars was I really like to talk about education. And so that's what I started off talking with, which was education, right? And talking about the difference between general knowledge and specialized knowledge, talking about specialized education, right? And getting education specific to your field. And then I talked about becoming a business owner, right? So I went into the benefits of becoming a business owner and how you're only going to be able to be set free if you are, in business for yourself. And then we talked about taxes, right? And we talked about all the benefits of the tax benefits and how if you stimulate the economy, you don't have to pay as much as taxes. And then on top of that, we talked about banking, right? And I just talked about and addressed, how people are getting ripped off in their mortgages. And then after that, we went into, of course, real estate. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be able to deliver this information in a few different forms. So you can go through this in an interview. In an interview, you're typically going to share this information, and you're only going to have maybe 1 to 3 minutes, right? 1 to 3 minutes. And I would suggest being able to address every single one of these topics in 1 minute so that you can go through the full 5 pillars in an interview style, right? Because obviously you're going to be limited in time. You want to be able to deliver some key points within 1 minute on each of these topics. That's more built for intrigue, right? And then there's the opportunity where you might have a little bit longer of a conversation. You might be able to speak in front of a group. You might be able to, get 15 minutes or, somewhere around there, 15, 20, 25 minutes. And at that point, you're going to want to deliver the same information, but instead you're going to go into a little bit more detail. You may share a little bit more stories. So at that point, you're going to go through maybe 3 to 5 minutes. So 3 to 5 minutes is going to be, in front of a group. You're going to be a networking group, still designed to build intrigue. It's not designed to give all the information. It's more there, to provide enough value where people want to get more information. So then you might have the opportunity where you are actually doing a full-on presentation and you want to gauge this. Now, if you are doing a lunch presentation, for example, you're probably going to want to spend maybe 10 minutes on each topic. So that's going to be a 50-minute presentation, maybe an hour if, you also have the call to action in there. So if you're doing a luncheon type presentation, you're right out on the whiteboard, gathering a group together and you're doing it in your own house, maybe a cash recovery party or something of that nature. You're not going to want to spend more than 10 minutes on each topic. And then there is the opportunity where you may do a full-on presentation to a large group. And at that point, you're going to range anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes per topic. You don't want to spend more than about 15 minutes per topic because, you know, with that and with your close and everything else, you want to have your conversation 90 minutes or less. And so what I'd like to do is, because we've got some time on this call, I would like to see if there's a couple of people that feel bold enough, that feel like are ready to share this information. And I want you guys to share your 1 minute version of this conversation. Then what I'm going to invite all of you guys to do is you can just swing over to my Facebook page and you can actually watch how I did this in a radio interview and how I'm already starting leads because of that conversation. I'm already getting people adding me on Facebook and you know, creating conversations of people that were there, who were part of that group. So with that, who feels like they know the 5 pillars conversation enough that they could talk on each of these topics for 1 minute?
Hey, Christian, I think I can.
Chats in here. Okay, perfect. Is this Wanda?
This is Wanda. Yeah.
Well, I love it. All right.
Okay.
1 minute on each topic.
For each one.
Go through 5
1 minute
pillars.
in each one, or 1 minute for all?
1 minute for all.
1 minute for all.
Oh, sorry. 1 minute for each one. Yes, you got it right. So I want you to talk about the 5 pillars conversation, and I want you to do it in 5 minutes. So you've got to be done by 8:30, and I want you to have enough information on each one of these topics that I feel compelled to seek you out.
Okay. So let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna create like a conversation with you. Okay, Christian. So this is what I do. I represent a school. I'm an independent marketing affiliate, and I represent this wonderful company. Is the best company in the nation to create investors, real estate investors. We have over 29 classes. We have about 21 instructors, and those instructors are completely practitioners. So they making $1 million in their field. It's not like in 2009 they made $1 million and then now they're not making it. No, they are making $1 million right now, and they having the experience to really teach you the things that are required to become an investor. In addition to that, we have a business opportunity because Renatos have created a cycle of wealth, which means that you can learn while you earn, or earn while you learn, and also learn to become an investor and share this opportunity with others and get paid for it. I personally took this opportunity seriously because I lost my job 2 years ago. And when I lost my job, I had to make it. And I literally created a 6-figure income business in 8 months. So that is an opportunity that is there. It's completely optional, but it's an opportunity there for you. In addition, some of the courses that we teach will help you to save in taxes, because you can't deduct, for instance, if you own a truck, and I believe that you own this beautiful truck, so you can, in 2017, there was about $40,000 that you can take away from a $50,000 truck. And you can also save in taxes by paying your children, by deducting many things, because as investors, we have over 400 deductions that we can deduct in our taxes, differently from a person who is an employee or self-employed that only have about 100. Then we also have a strategy that helps you to manage the money differently, and you can save a lot of interest on those using those strategies. And it's called velocity banking. And with the velocity banking, you manage your money differently, leveraging lines of credit instead of loans, because there's a difference between the interest calculation, amortized loans versus simple interest. And all of that, we will give you more information as we go. And ultimately, we do have a real estate investing opportunity that you can invest in properties without using your own money. I'm working in 4 projects right now, and I haven't used my own money. And it's a wonderful opportunity. There are 6 different tracks and strategies, but I particularly use fix and flip, in which allow me to buy a property, fix it, and then sell it. If this is something that will interest you.
Awesome, Wanda. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Now, here's what I want to guide you on. And first of all, Wanda, I want to talk about how you were able to go through that information. You know the information, and you were able to have the conversation. Here's what I want to use as a training for everybody is when you only have a short amount of time, what you guys are going to want to do is focus on the why. If you noticed, Wanda went into the what and the how. And if you only have a short amount of time, we lose people with the what and the how, because when we're talking about how many classes we have and we talk about, the instructors, and all of these things, then you're usually not creating a tremendous amount of intrigue, because people, just we're being honest with each other, don't want education, right? They want results. And so instead, what you want to focus on is the why. So thank you, first of all, Wanda, for doing that and for bringing that example, because you are a leader and you're able to speak from results. And what I liked what you did was you put in some personal stories, you personalized it to yourself. And you guys are going to want to do that same thing. Let me really quickly go through on here what I mean by focusing on the why rather than the what and the how. Okay. So with that, what I did when I had this conversation was I said, so I'll pretend that Wanda, we're having the conversation this time. And again, This typically is not going to be a one-on-one conversation. This is going to be like a radio interview. This is going to be at a networking event where somebody gives you, 5 minutes to go through who you are and what you do. So it's going to be more of that type of a conversation. And I probably could have clarified it better, because I know, Wanda, you're great at presenting this information. So if you were having me on your podcast, for example, and you brought me on and you said, hey, Christion, and let's not even say podcast. Let me give you guys a tip that you guys can do right now. You can actually start interviewing people on your Facebook page, your personal Facebook page. Just start doing live interviews with people and having them share information. And then when people have you on their channel, they may not be, Renatus folks. They may be folks that are not even in the business. And so when they have you on their interview, then you can go through the same conversation. And so what I would do is I would say, Wanda, hey, I just appreciate you having me on the line. And I can surely share with your folks a little bit about what I do. So what I do is I actually help people focus on the 5 pillars of wealth. So I consider myself an advocate for financial literacy. There's a lot of things that I do that don't necessarily personally benefit me in order to make sure that people have access to the information to be able to be financially literate, because it's not taught in today's school. It's not taught in public school. It's not taught in private school. And when I talk about that, the first pillar is education. And when we look at education, Napoleon Hill says there's, that general knowledge, no matter in what abundance, is of no use in acquiring money. And so specialized knowledge towards your path and what you're actually trying to accomplish is more important. And so you want to focus on seeking out specialized knowledge. The second pillar is business. Now, here's the thing about being in business for yourself. Being in business for yourself is the only thing that's going to give you long-term freedom and security. Most people think that having a 9-to-5 job and a steady paycheck is security. And they hope that someday they can end up with retirement that is going to be freedom. But what we found is that system doesn't work for people. If you're not building your own dream, you're just the cog in the wheel of building somebody else's dream. So you've got to get in business for yourself. The third pillar that we talk about is taxes. See, by becoming a business owner, you actually become a part of the class that stimulates the economy. And I often ask people, I say, is the tax code built for the wealthy or for the poor? And no matter which one of those answers they give me, they're wrong, because the tax code was built for the educated. It doesn't, we all have the same rules. It doesn't matter whether you're wealthy or poor. It matters whether you're going to do the things that will take advantage of the tax codes that are out there. And so what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position where you can take most advantage of those tax benefits. And the best way to do that is be in business for yourself and invest in real estate. Now, the fourth pillar of wealth that we talk about is banking. See, what most people don't realize is they're giving 33% of their income away to the big banks in this black hole that we call interest. And if you want to gauge this for yourself, do me a favor, go look at your mortgage statement. Look at how much went to interest versus how much went to principal. Banks make more on mortgages than they do on payday loans, because people sign up for mortgages over and over and over again. And people are putting their money into a savings account. Did you know that you actually lose money by putting your money into a savings account? I mean, if inflation is 3.4% or 4%, whatever it is, and you're only making 0.0 whatever percent, I mean, here's the thing that we often say within my little group. If it starts with a point, it's pointless. You're losing money by saving, and you're losing money and being ripped off by the banks. There's ways to use banking products that are in your favor more than the bank's favor. And then the last pillar of wealth is real estate. Real estate, I believe, is the foundation of wealth. And it's the only place that you can create a long-term passive income that can actually outlast you. So that's the 5 pillars of wealth. If you want to know more information about any one of those topics, get back with me, reach out to me here on Facebook, or even I'm actually hosting an event tonight. If you're in the Utah marketplace, I'd love to invite you out to come meet my team and understand more about the 5 pillars of wealth.
Wow. What a different conversation. And this is so true, because I've been talking to, I have one-on-one with Woody, and he's teaching me about ask, don't tell, and show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And that is awesome, because you just show something, explaining the why, and I did the how and the what. And people can be turned out from the how and the what.
Yes, exactly. If you go into the how and the what, and especially when you go into things, and there's a lot of miscommunication out there about some of the how and the what as well that we want to clarify. And we won't do that on the call here, but
Correct.
The thing is, people don't care so much about the how and the what. They care about the why up front. Now, if you're going into a full presentation and you guys are going to be sharing 15 minutes on each topic, here's the great news. You can share the why, then you can share the what, and a little bit of the how. But if you notice the way that we run our 5 pillars presentation here in Utah, for example, in the Salt Lake City marketplace, we don't go into a lot of the how even there. Because we have learned that first conversation, that first presentation, our goal is not to sell somebody a $20,000 education. Because what we found is this is a 3 to 5 exposure business. So instead what we do is we close to the second exposure. In the second exposure, that's when we get into more of the how and the what, or the what and how. And then by the third exposure, which sometimes is that same night, that's when we're actually enrolling people. So think about where you're at in the conversation. Think about the timeline that you have to share the conversation, and that will help you guys understand. If you only have a short amount of time to share on each one of these topics, share only the why and leave enough intrigue to give them the opportunity to come back to you. If you've got a little bit more time, you can go into the why and a little bit of the what. And then if you have a full presentation, then you can drop a little bit of the how as well. So Wanda, thank you for participating with me. And thank you all for being on here. We don't have enough time to do this with anybody else because I do have to jump off and start the pit team call here in a little while. But what I want you to do with the final minutes that we have is go over to my Facebook page. So Christion, Christion, Sadler, Sadler. I want you to go to my personal page. I was just tagged in an interview that I did. You'll see me sitting with a couple of ladies in some green chairs, and you'll see that it's a radio studio. Watch that conversation and specifically focus on how I go through those 5 pillars of wealth, and I turn it into a conversation and give people the opportunity to come back to me. And then what I want you guys to do is practice it for yourself. Use your own stories, use your own flair, use your own flavor, and practice being able to deliver this information in 1-minute increments, in 3-minute increments, and in 5-minute increments. Appreciate you guys joining us on here, and get out there and make it happen.